Hey, what's up? My name's Ercy and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to attempt to review The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Wish me luck. So I don't have as many thoughts about this one. To be quite honest, I'm kind of confused. Like, what did I just read? Hopefully this review will help me make sense of this book because I'm just a little confused. But let's begin with why I picked up this book in the first place. So this specific copy of The Gunslinger actually belongs to my little brother. So I'm sorry, Arcel, I wrote all over this. If you don't like it, I can buy you another one. But yeah, there's writing everywhere. But if you want it back with my thoughts on it, I mean, I think you'd be very entertained with very prolific thoughts like, why? And poor mule. And did he just die? But anyways, this is my brother's favorite series and pretty simple. I just want to know why. I think it's really fun to read some of your loved one's favorite books, and I've tried 3 times. I tried 3 times to read this book. I DNF'd it 3 times. I just wasn't interested in it. I think it was just that time in my life where I just could not pick up this book and find any interest in it. But what motivated me to actually pick this up is Steve from Steve Talks About Books and Stuff. He's doing like an 8-month read along of the series. Throughout the month of August, they were reading this one and we talked about it on his forum for a bit. And he's going to be doing a live show with a few other people. But it's just really hard for me to gather my thoughts on this. And even though it's been maybe a couple weeks since I finished this, I'm still having a hard time coming up with how I feel about this book. I also want to give a shout out to Amanda over at the Reading and Writing Live, as well as Andrew from Get Right On End, because they've both been encouraging me in their own ways to continue with the series. Amanda is doing a read of the whole Dark Tower series, but like the extended version of it, so you know, to include the stand, the talisman, all that stuff. And I think Andrew was just listening to the audiobooks of the series, and he's been telling me on Instagram that I just need to continue with the series, even though this first book was really rough, and he promises that the series will be better. So I hope I'm gonna hold him to it. So I am gonna continue with the series. This first one is just a little weird, but let's talk about it. This is King's attempt at creating like a dark epic fantasy, but it's sort of a Western too. This first book was first published in 1982, but since then King has done a couple of revisions to it to make it flow better, but he still kept some of the charm from the original story as well. This story is about Roland, and he is the last gunslinger, and he is in pursuit of the man in black. They are in a world that seems to be very diseased, dead, torn, weird. And it's really hard to tell what's going on in the world. It seems to be some kind of apocalyptic event that must have happened because it's very dry and very deserted for most parts. And just the people are very weird that he encounters along the way. Even the animals have seemed to sort of transform and mutated and stuff. So King does a really good job with creating the setting of this very desolate world throughout this book. But yeah, he's in pursuit of the man in black, and it's very mysterious, very vague, and I think that was sort of the point. Throughout the book, we get flashbacks from Roland's past blended in with the actions of the book, and I am left with a lot of questions. So what did I like about this book? I really like the scenes in Tull. I felt like in Tull is where we really got a first glimpse of how this world has affected people and sort of the powers that this man in black has. So the people are very broken, very weird, and it's sort of like in this Western world as well. But I just felt like it was a good example of showing what's going on with humanity in whatever's going on in the world, something happened and everyone is very paranoid, very like to themselves, dark. They're trying to find connections but with each other, but it's very perverted and manipulative, and it's just weird. I really felt like the scenes in Toll were a good example of what happened to the people. I also really like the scenes where Roland was observing people in like this religious ritual, and even that has sort of been changed and warped and like weird. I keep saying weird, but that's just my feelings with this book. It's just weird. But I think also the mystery behind the word 19, I feel like that's what really hooked me to the story, because that was just like one of the creepiest things that I've read in a while, and I thought that really hooked me and motivated me to keep going and finding out what's going on. Now, what else did I like? I'm not sure. If anything, I'm just curious. I don't know how I feel about it, but I think that's the point. So I was having a conversation with my brother Clay. What up, Clay? And we were talking about another book, but I feel like Stephen King is sort of doing the same thing in this book. But what we were talking about is when authors, you have different kinds of authors, and some authors will hold your hand and guide you throughout the entirety of a book or a story or even a movie, right? And they're just guiding you through the whole thing. It's very easy to comprehend, very easy to grasp. And then there are authors who trust their readers to figure it out. You're going to figure it out in due time. Everything's a mystery right now, but you're going to get there. I'm hoping that is the case with this book, because I am left with a lot of questions. And as far as I can tell from other people, once you continue on with the series, you're going to get those answers. You just have to push through and be okay with not knowing everything. And that's what Stephen King left me feeling with this one. So I'm hoping with the other books, I'll get a better understanding of what actually is happening with this one. I just need to get to them, and I haven't read them yet. But let's specifically talk about what I disliked in this book. And I feel like the writing style is one of the things that I had a really hard time grasping. I don't feel as bad saying this, because even King kind of admits that the writing style in this is very pretentious, very over the top. There were so many times where I had to look up words, and that's fine. I'm okay with looking things up, but it was just like constant. I was constantly having to stop, pull myself out, figure out a definition, come back, and it was just like over the top and a little annoying, because I would say that I have a pretty good vocabulary, and to have to constantly do this was just kind of annoying. Like, you want to keep going with the flow of the story, but some of the words that I didn't know were really vital in understanding what was going on in the passage. So I would have to stop, pull out my phone, look it up, and then come back, maybe reread the passage to kind of get a better feel for what that word meant in context with the rest of the paragraph. And that's okay to do, but have to constantly do that was really annoying. And it made me feel like I wasn't smart enough. And I feel like I shouldn't have to feel that way. But it's okay. I mean, we all want to learn new words, but it was just like a lot. I also didn't like that King would kind of spoil events in the story within the story. So there was like mentions of the slow mutants, right? Maybe two chapters before they actually came to be part of the story, and he'd be like, oh yeah, before we get to the slow mutants, blah 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 blah, and then like 2 chapters later is when they're getting to the slow mutants. I would have preferred that he allowed us to discover the horror of these people without preparing us for it, so that way we can be horrified with the characters when we encounter those people. There was like a couple times where he kind of like spoiled things, and I thought that was weird that he would do that. So that was just something else I didn't enjoy with this story. But let's talk ratings. So I gave it a 2 stars on Goodreads, and I gave it 2.5 stars on the Storygraph. I mean, it was okay. I didn't like it. I didn't love it. It was just okay for me. It left me with a lot of questions. There were moments I liked, a lot more that dragged for me and that I didn't like. But if anything, I would say that it made me interested and curious about the rest of the series. So that's a good thing, right? But even Stephen King kind of admits that he missed the mark with this book. And he sort of promises in the foreword and the introduction that the rest of the books are going to get better. And this has been confirmed by everyone else that has continued with the story. They absolutely love it. So I'm going to keep going and see what the hype is all about. But yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts on The Gunslinger by Stephen King. It wasn't many thoughts because, again, like I said plenty of times, I'm a little confused. It's very weird, but I am curious. So I will continue, but those are my thoughts on this book right now. If you've read this book, let me know what you think of this book. I'd be curious to have this conversation within the comments and see just what everyone else thinks of this book. If you are interested in it, let me know that too. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.